The Raiders put up 63 points and coulda, shoulda had more than that. A 63-21 curb stomping, a mollywhopper of a win over the pathetic Chargers. The Raiders on this night, it was a Bambi performance. They played the role of thumper as they thumped the Chargers. Vegas improves to 6-8. They led this game 42-0 at halftime. Let me repeat that for those of you in the back of the room. 42-0 at halftime. They were 10 points away from tying the all-time NFL record for points in a game. They took their foot off the pedal late in the game. But the better story is not with the Raiders. As many points as they scored, the better story is in the losing locker room. So let us discuss the question, where does this performance, if you want to call it a performance, where does this outing leave the Chargers head coach, Brandon Staley, the already embattled Brandon Staley? So I've got Johnny Cash, DoorDash, and Sweet Melody. And we will combine all of these things together. We're going to roll out the red carpet, which is what Brandon Staley can walk down when he exits the team facility. So my first thought here is that Brandon Staley should be visiting human resources about the time the Chargers plane lands back in L.A. All right? This team has been sinking under Brandon Staley into quicksand as he has been the Charger coach. If he's not let go, and the chances are pretty good, while we are doing the show, we will get a message from one of the insiders that Brandon Staley has been fired. I would be stunned if he has the job by the time the sun comes up in the morning. But we're doing the show right now. So at the time we're doing this, we don't know whether he's been fired or he will be fired. But if he's not fired, it is a referendum on ownership. Like, what is your level of passion? Do you really care? It doesn't whisper. It screams to make a change. Now, if I owned the Chargers, I'd have a lot more money. I wouldn't be doing an overnight radio show. And Brandon Staley would have been whacked after the Chargers blew a 27-point lead in a playoff game. Shout out Jacksonville. But this was the kind of performance that you normally see in basketball. I remember back in the old days when I covered the NBA a lot before I got into the talk radio game. And it was reminiscent of a team that was tired of the coach, and they felt like, we got to get rid of this guy. So we go out there and play some terrible games. The front office will fire the coach. We call it like we see it. The Chargers are quitters. They quit on Brandon Staley. They're quitters. They played the woe is me card from the bottom of the deck. There is no way you give up that many points if you're trying. None. I said the same thing when the Broncos got flummoxed by the Miami Dolphins. They gave up a 70-burger in that game. But the Chargers thing here is even more egregious. It's a short week. Justin Herbert's out. Keenan Allen's out. Some other players aren't playing. And the guys that were left, a bunch of GQ guys, game quitters. They gave up. The Chargers had 5 fumbles in this game. They lost 4 of the 5 fumbles and a pick 6. They gave up a fat guy touchdown in this game. Anyway, we have Brandon Staley postgame. So let's hear from Brandon Staley. He hadn't been fired as he walked off the field. So there's a positive for Brandon Staley. And you'll hear the question and the answer. Staley was asked about whether or not there is still a buy-in from the team. Take a listen.
Why do you still believe that guys still believe in you, that you can go back in there and lead this team to whatever the rest of the season is?
Yeah, you'll go talk to the guys after this, and you'll be able to hear from them. And I know these guys really well.
That's not. What does that mean? You know them really well. Well, that's great. You be friends with him when you're let go. All right, here's more from Brandon Staley. You got to think he coached his last game, right? Chargers play next Saturday against the Buffalo Bills in L.A. You got a long stretch here because of the Thursday game into Friday. Here's Brandon Staley asked the million-dollar question about whether or not he will remain as coach in La La Land.
Do you expect to be the coach here tomorrow?
I don't know that.
Do you think you should be?
Yes.
Why?
I know that what I've done here for 3 years, and I know what I put into this, and I know that we're capable of going. I know the type of coach that I am. I believe in myself. But again, this isn't about me. This is about a group that's hurting in there. We got to get some rest, and we got to get ready for Buffalo.
Yeah. Newsflash, it is about you. It's all about you. And the Chargers ownership group should turn on Johnny Cashtoon and send Brandon Staley to the dusty Winnemucca Road, which, by the way, is in northern Nevada. So it's just not in southern Nevada, but northern Nevada, the Winnemucca Road. But and sing while you're playing that in the background. You can play na 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 na, hey hey, goodbye. And they already have the ready-made coach in waiting, Kellen Moore, who was boy wonder in Dallas, and then he fell out of favor. He's the offensive coordinator. You can give Kellen Moore a look the rest of the season and find out whether or not you see anything there, whether you want to bring him back as the full-time head coach, which is the kind of move the Chargers will probably make because it's not going to cost them a ton of money. Now, turning the page, on the other side of the stadium there in Sin City, how are things looking for Antonio Pierce? He's also fighting to keep his head coaching job with the Raiders. So looking at all the gauges, looking at all the barometers on the pirate ship, the pendulum here is obviously moved back in his direction. How could it not move back in his direction? Just won a game. He scored 63 points. How does it not move in the direction of Antonio Pierce? But the Raiders were flying around like vipers in this game, and they were there. They were there. The door, somebody knocked on the door. They rang the bell. It was DoorDash. The Chargers left a bag of victory right there at the front door, and all the Raiders had to do was open the front door and grab that bag from DoorDash, and they were good to go. But still, you look at the overall body of work. It's now been 6 games since Josh McDaniels was whacked as coach of the Raiders, and Antonio Pierce took over. So the Raiders are 3-3. They've beaten the Chargers, the Giants, and the Jets. Lost a relatively close game to the Dolphins and Vikings, where they didn't score the last game. Go from scoring no points to scoring 63 points in the span of less than a week. And lost a game against Kansas City by a couple of touchdowns. But you do it without Aiden O'Connell being any good. I mean, he had a big game here, but he's just a jag. And Antonio Pierce, he's a defensive guy, and 6 games in, the Raiders defensively are allowing an average of 12.1 points per game. So the jury is still out. It really depends on what kind of meal Mark Davis has at P.F. Chang's, whether or not he's going to keep Antonio Pierce or not as coach, and there's obviously a few more games to be played. All right, last word here. So in the lead-up to this game, defensive end Maxx Crosby made right out of Central Casting to be a Raider. Maxx Crosby snapped when the topic of the Silver and Black shutting down their star players. So some NFL media weasels have been advocating for the Raiders to just shut her down. And Crosby shouldn't play. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, who didn't play in this game on Thursday night. But the talking point is don't play these guys. Just shut it down, tank. So speaking to reporters, as he deals with his own knee injury, Maxx Crosby played in the game on Thursday night, he called the idea of players sitting out, all right, sitting out of any games that the Raiders completely are out of contention. He called it a bunch of bullpucky. Now, I cleaned that up for radio. I quoted Jay Scoop, bunch of bullpucky. He said there's a lot of bullpucky going on around here about shutting people down because of this, that. He said, but that's a bunch of bullpucky, Maxx Crosby said. He said, you train all year, and you train to play 17 games guaranteed. So that's what we plan on doing. So how do you appraise Maxx Crosby's pushback on the media's effort for Operation Shutdown in Nevada? So I loved it. Okay, I loved it. The sweet melody is music to my ears as Crosby continues to have the warrior spirit, and I despise this neurosis that so many people in the sporting world have of shutting it down. And it's good to hear that Maxx Crosby is at least publicly ignoring the out of an abundance of caution, we must shut it down. I like the guys that have the code of the West, right? Take pride in what you do, finish what you start. And a lot of NFL players have that, right? It's more of a disease in basketball where they don't have that. They're quitters in basketball. But in football, they don't operate that way.